So today, as I had mentioned before, my client has some inconsistent color placement. They have some dark pieces around their ear and some dark pieces along their hairline that they want to a similar color as their highlighted color in the back. We've identified 2 pieces that are dark. On one side, it's much larger piece, so we'll have more foils on one side than the other, lifting those areas. And in the top area, in the top back area, we've identified that the Lightner travels too far up, and we want to diffuse the area above the occipital bone, so we're going to put in low lights into the areas above the occipital bone. So with this client, when I'm finished, I'm going to have a couple foils around the hairline, and I'm going to have a couple foils above the occipital bone. I'm going to go ahead and mix my color now to make sure I can go ahead and get that placed in. I'm also going to make sure that my client has been double draped with a chemical drape, and they have their 2 towels protecting them. And we're going to go ahead and make sure we apply our protective cream to our clients. Because again, we are doing a chemical color procedure, and we want to make sure that protective barrier exists so we don't tint the skin. I'm going to go ahead and go mix my color. I'm mixing my color with my protective equipment on and my apron on. I am following my manufacturer's directions, and I'm making sure I'm observing my mixing ratios in accordance with its directions. I don't have enough space to mix on camera, so I'm just going to mix right here and I'll show you. Making sure my measurement is consistent. I've taken off the product on top that's overflow, so I have a true read. My bowl has measurements on the inside. My bowl has measurements. Let me make sure my bowl is fully dry. There we go. Oh, my bowl has measurements, so I'm able to measure out how much developer I'm going to use. All right, and I'm mixing within my mixing bowl, making sure all the granules are mixed in properly and there's no residue or powdered product left within my bowl. Ensuring my mixing is consistent. Consistency of yogurt. I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you using just a regular whisk?
Yeah, I'm using a regular whisk.
Does it work better for mixing?
It does keep the granules down, and it keeps your tint brush cleaner, so it allows for a cleaner application. Okay, so I am filming so I can launch, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask for everyone to hold their questions till the end of the demo, and I'll be happy to address it. I'm gonna mix my second bowl, which is my color bowl. And I'm going to mix about an ounce of color, which is a half ounce of color with a half ounce of developer. I'm going to be using my demi-permanent color line. So I'm using the developer that is made in accordance with the Color Touch line. Color Touch has two different demi-permanent developers. They have a 6 volume and they have, I think it's like a 13 volume. The reason why they have two developer potencies within the line, it was to, one's for a blended gray coverage, it has a stronger developer, and the other one is a deposit only, very mild formulation for previously decolorized hair. Okay, so I only had one mixer. I could have rinsed and washed my mixer and come back, but I only had one mixer, so I mixed with my tint brush, my demi-permanent. Okay. So I have applied my protective cream. I'm going to go ahead and look at my subsectioning, and I'm going to start applying my lightener to my dark areas. I'm taking my 1/8 of an inch subsections in vertical partings that mimic my hairline. I'm examining the hair, and if you notice, I have a dark spot right here. Right? That's my dark area we're talking about, and then we go into the blonde that she enjoys. So, in my 1/4 of an inch subsection here, since we're doing corrective color, I am manually taking out the pieces that have already been lightened. So notice I just dropped out what's been lightened here. And I'll be putting my foil only on the hair that needs to be lightened to match. And I'm still utilizing my very fine subsectioning. All right. I'm going in with my other 1/8 of a subsectioning. I'm noticing that it's a little difficult, so I'm going to ask my client to tilt their head just a little so I can get some better access to the area. Again, combing through, noticing the area that needs to be corrected, that dark area in the middle here. Can everyone see that? That little dark area? Good. So with my weaving technique, I'm weaving out what's been lightened, and I'm taking the dark area and I'm putting in my foil. See how methodical this has to be to get evenness in color, everyone? This is a big deal. This is the kind of stuff where you might have a client, they have no idea what has to happen, but they want it all one consistent color, and you're going in here literally section by section, identifying what areas need to go back to the color, need to travel back to the color that was desired. Again, not smashing your foil. All right. Looks like I got a bit of lightener on my gloves, so I'm making sure that I'm removing any sort of excess product that got on my gloves. It happens. Make sure that you remove it, because if you touch the hair with product on your gloves, you're going to get a spot. So we put in our second foil there. I'm noticing that almost all the dark has been taken care of in this area. I have one more subsection that is quite fine. And I'm weaving out the dark. And notice how fine that area is. It's a really small area. You may have to cut a foil in half. You might have too much foil on your hands. That can happen. So if you have a tiny little area, you just cut your foil down, make your foil small, get that little piece, control it, apply your product. All right, so our dark piece has been covered. We're addressing the other side. There we go. If you notice here, we have our dark piece around the hairline. Light piece, take that guy out. Because we're not overlapping. We're not overlapping in what's been previously lightened. We're only addressing the pieces that are still dark. And we're still taking our 1/8 of an inch subsectioning, because we want our sections to be as closest to the root as possible. She's starting to move on me. Don't go. I need you here next to me. Get her neck thing ready. There we go. There we go. All right, next subsection. 1/8 of an inch subsectioning. Boom. Boom. If you need to put a metal clip to control your section so you can see it clearly, that's totally fine. See, you can see it very clearly. You have your piece here that's dark. You may need a smaller foil if you need to control your section. All the same factors are in place where you're making sure that your saturation is even throughout. And you're making sure that you're being mindful of your application so you don't get bleeds. You're still going in with your uber fine 1/8 of an inch subsectioning. You're identifying what needs to be lightened. And you are addressing the areas that need to match. Are there any questions? Check the chat. Rubber, plastic, oh, stainless steel one, yeah. Yeah, they have mixers that are stainless steel, rubber, and plastic. Okay, so we put in our lightener. We're going to go ahead and put in our low lights. Our low lights are in the top section here. So we're identifying where we're going to start to throw in our low lights. And I'm going to go in with horizontal low lighting sectioning. There she is. She has kind of that hair length where it's like doesn't want to grab. But we are here. We're identifying what we need. And then we are controlling it if necessary with a clip. Okay. So I'm identifying where I'm going to create this transition. And I'm starting to throw my low light weave in horizontal sectioning. So what's been lightened can be more blended. Make sure you don't confuse the tint bowls, okay? It's really easy when you have 2 tint bowls on your station. Very easy to put the wrong tint brush in the wrong tint bowl. Super easy. You're trying to move quickly. You're trying to move effectively. And you're moving your tint brush and bowl around very fast. It can totally happen. And then what happens is you've effectively ruined your color formulation and you have to go remix. I think that's actually one of the biggest annoyances in our career, in my opinion. One of the strongest annoyances is throwing away product that worked perfectly fine because you were distracted or not paying attention. So in my next piece here, I've noticed that the blonde is starting to go away because I have pieces that are inconsistently colored. So because we're going darker, I'm only weaving out the pieces that have been highlighted. And it's really difficult to get it extremely precise. You're going for as precise as you're able to weave. You might have a little bit of overlap of the dark into some dark hair, but that's okay because you're using a demi that's deposit only, and you're doing your best to incorporate as little hair as possible that was already dark. But you don't have to spend an hour trying to pick out every single little dark hair you see. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't spend all your processing time trying to get the precision factor perfect, okay? Remember where you're at. Also, in the back of the head, right? And also keep in mind how your client styles their hair. So like for instance, in most hairstylings, splitting in the back of the hair is pretty low. Unless your client likes to wear two ponytails or space buns that look like Mickey Mouse ears, it's going to be pretty rare that your client parts in the back of their head. So, precision and also using your judgment to make sure everything processes in a good place is important. So I'm still putting in my low lights. I have a combo of both low light and highlight in this area. Again, observing my 1/8 of an inch subsectioning. Again, we're putting in the low light, so I'm putting in my fine weave for the blend. I'm identifying the light pieces. Controlling my hair, getting it out of the way so I can see my section. There we go. And I'm going with a fine weave for this low light blend near the over the occipital bone. I'm noticing that I had a little dark piece in there. I'm just pulling that guy out. Boom, not necessary to be in there. There we go. All right, good. There we go. So what you're doing here is you're trying to get into a rhythm. Okay, so like in your mind, if you sing to yourself in your head, whatever keeps you concentrated on the task at hand, you should be kind of keeping your mindset on. I know that clients are going to be talking about their personal life, and they're going to be telling you all about themselves, but it is going to take some time on a realistic understanding. It is going to take some time to be able to carry normal conversation and do this at the same time. Like I'm not even gonna sugarcoat that. It's going to take some time to learn how to both put in your foils, keep awareness of what you're doing, and know your patterns, and talk about someone's dog. It's going to be hard. So, with that being said, when you're working like this, communication with your client's key. Obviously, you're not going to tell your client to be quiet or to not talk. However, you're going to let them know, hey, I'm making sure that everything's really good back here. I'm concentrating really hard. If you have a question, feel free to ask me. But if you find me being really quiet, it's because I'm concentrating. And honestly, saying that to your client is honestly a godsend, to be honest with you, because then your client knows you're not ignoring them, and your client knows that you're paying attention to the service, right? So like nothing about that would be offensive or wrong, because you are making sure that the client's safety and outcome is the number one priority, right? Because I don't know a single client that would prefer to not have an outcome be the outcome if they get to talk. So as soon as I tell my client I'm concentrating super hard and I want to make sure that I get it right, my client usually is very respectful of that. And then they normally hang out and they read a magazine, or they read their book, or they read their phone. Totally do not worry if you have to tell your client that you're thinking. All right, so this is my last piece. Just gonna put in a slice, and we're gonna see how that develops. All right, everyone. So that is a lesson on corrective color. This is corrective color, so this was specific to this simulated client and this simulated client's needs. I would not charge this as a partial highlight nor a combo highlight. I would charge this as corrective color. My corrective color ranges. It's $110 an hour presently. So I would have started, I have myself on record. I would have told my client, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mix your color. We're starting at this time. And I'd make a note of it. We're starting at this time, and then you give them a time estimate of what you think the procedure will take. And then obviously if your pricing is at $110 an hour, 4 hours times 110.
Question.
Yeah.